It's been a wild start to 2022 for everyone in the golfing world, with the Saudi-funded breakaway league wreaking havoc among the PGA ranks. But do these new tournaments actually undermine what golf's all about, or are they just some healthy competition to the PGA and DP World Tour? Well, let's dive straight in and discuss. First up, it's all about the money. When Phil Mickelson became the first high-profile name to make the switch, many people questioned his decision. After all, his PGA career was still going strong at 52, with a recent major win under his belt as well. However, only a couple of weeks later, we found out that he's going to get a $30 million payout for competing in the rival Saudi Golf League, which kinda cleared things up. Of course, no one just gets up one day and decides to jeopardize their PGA Tour legacy for a random golf league, so there was always bound to be some money involved. With that said, the fact that at one point almost 15 of the top 50 players in the world were willing to compete in the league speaks volumes about how loyal they are to the sport they love. But let's be fair here, it's almost impossible to deny a multi-million-dollar opportunity, so we don't blame them. Make no mistake, this isn't a small operation, as according to the Saudi League's CEO Greg Norman, they're aiming to dominate the sport globally. And with the billions of dollars being thrown around at promoters and players, it's hard to see any other reality, unless there's some serious pushback from the PGA. When money starts to influence a sport and the things that happen on the field, it never ends well. Why do people hate the Saudi Golf League? Now, money in sports isn't a new thing. As a matter of fact, golf is actually pretty far behind when it comes to the whole payout process, with only the top players making the big bucks. Other sports like tennis, F1, and football can be far more lucrative for athletes to compete in. So if there's nothing inherently wrong with pumping more money into the sport, then what's up with the hostility toward the golf league? Well, you see, it all starts with the fact that the literal Saudi government is the one backing it. Yep, not a company, but the entire country's investment fund. And if you read the news at any point over the past few years, you know that the Crown Prince doesn't have the best of track records when it comes to human rights. In fact, he's actually been accused of the alleged murder of a Saudi journalist and the execution of 81 people earlier this year. So when your league is financed by someone like that, it's kinda hard to turn a blind eye to it. Obviously, the media has been calling players out, and they even asked Greg Norman about this whole thing. However, the response from them is just not good enough, as they found a way to shrug it off by simply saying that humans make mistakes. That's not all though, as their whole argument about not trying to mix sports with politics is also a whole load of nonsense. Oh, and don't even get us started about the league's hierarchy, saying that they don't answer to the Crown Prince. Like, seriously? You literally just got a $2 billion cash injection for your league. Of course you answer to him. Next, Saudi Arabia's sports washing exercise is real. What does the Saudi government have to gain from all of this though? Don't they just end up getting even more stick for getting involved in controversial matters like this? Well, if you're super in tune with the world of golf, then maybe you'd think this is a bad idea. However, on a greater scale, there is nothing but good publicity for the government. Like, imagine a new league that's got all your favorite players and also has some super exciting formats that attract young audiences. Isn't that just an easy recipe for success? And if you've got the money to do it, then there's no point in holding back, is it? Well, yes. But that's not all, as this is only one aspect of the Crown Prince's attempt at quote-unquote sports washing. It's the notion that by showing a friendlier image of yourself to the world, you can gain sympathy and continue doing the dirty work behind closed doors. Until now, the checks coming out of the Saudi investment fund have been used to buy football clubs, wrestling pay-per-views, and even game studios. Obviously, they're doing everything under the guise of expanding the economy, but come on, it's not hard to see through that. Golfers shouldn't get a free pass on morality. Now, the media's laser-focused on the Saudi prince and all the bad things he's done, which is a good thing. However, in doing so, we've left a massive hole in the back for golfers to walk through unquestioned. Seriously, it's kind of baffling how these top professionals, who are supposed to be the face of their sport, manage to cross the moral line without any repercussions. And honestly, it's wild and depressing at the same time to see that golfers are so willing to assist the Saudis in their endeavors. At the same time though, the media and the government have a responsibility to scrutinize these players. After all, they've done it for other sports, so what's so different about golf? For instance, when the Premier League football club Newcastle United was being bought out by the Saudi investment fund, there were massive concerns raised by all the authorities involved. The Football Association and the British government almost made it impossible for that deal to go through. Plus, the media never let the investors have an inch of space either, calling them out on every single mistake that they'd made. So why can't we do the same for golfers? Sadly, the fact remains that these professionals live a charmed life that's away from the general public. And even when they're on the golf course, the crowds really aren't big enough to make any significant impact. It's just that they're protected athletes that live in their own bubble, and we don't see that changing anytime soon either. Up next, Greg Norman thinks that golfers are mercenaries. If there's one positive that's come out of this whole breakaway league drama, it's the fact that we've had some really bizarre and funny things from everyone involved. Greg Norman, though, though, has been on a whole nother level when it comes to this stuff. Like, the guy literally asked everyone to move on from the human rights violation issues. That's not all though, as the league's Aussie CEO continues to spew out some really fascinating takes. For instance, he thinks that golfers are mercenaries and that they can go to whoever's paying them the most. Now, isn't this just an utterly strange thing to say? Let's be clear here, these pros might be independent contractors, but they still at least owe some respect to the game of golf. And by kinda jumping around and acting like mercenaries, they're kinda tarnishing the sport's image. For real though, why don't footballers switch leagues like this? Or better yet, an F1 driver snubbing his Grand Prix to go and race an IndyCar. That's because even though they could do that, they still remember why they're here in the first place. And same goes for golfers. Most of them have a life goal of competing in the PGA from a young age, so it's super off-putting to see them turn their backs against it. Saudi League still doesn't have any legs. Alright, let's pull things back a bit and come back to the league itself. Yes, it's true that they seem to have unlimited cash lying around and that they've attracted some top talent for their upcoming invitational events. However, the fact remains that this venture is still in its infancy and hasn't even turned into a tour. You see, despite all the drama that's been going down, the PGA's still the more powerful entity here, and as soon as they threatened the players with bans, they all came running back. On top of that, even the players who are still taking part in the league, well, they're not competing on their home soil, just to avoid any clashes. In that list, you've got top-ranked English players like Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, and many others who've only committed to take part in overseas events. And this kind of encapsulates what this league is for these players. As long as their pro tour careers aren't at risk, they're more than happy to take the cash. But as soon as any golfing association decides to intervene, they're all gonna pull out. Also, that's not the only problem for this quote-unquote startup tour. Greg Norman may have promised to revolutionize the game, but this strange format of 54 holes with a shotgun start seems gimmicky at best. Oh, and the broadcasting deal is a whole another ordeal that they haven't even considered yet. Like, it's gonna start off as a simple stream on YouTube, and if you know anything about this platform, you know how easy it is to get buried underneath millions of other streams. So without any actual broadcasting partner, it's hard to imagine this breakaway Saudi League taking off. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think this new tour is going to disrupt PGA's dominance over golf? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.